All right, hello. Welcome to Everything About Anything. I'm going to break this chair, it's fine. Which really means nothing at all. So, it's a podcast about TVs, movies, and really anything else. I am Courtney Reed.
I'm Tyler Cox.
There you go. Today's topic is Netflix adaptations of popular anime shows.
Oh boy.
You gonna start us?
You really picked a winner for this first topic.
I needed to rant to somebody.
Yeah. I mean, we had talked for weeks about doing a podcast, and this has been kind of on our mind for a little bit since we've been doing production in one of our other classes.
Yep.
So, during filming, we made a list, and unfortunately, none of this is really all that good.
No. Look, listen. I don't think... No.
Yeah,
No.
I just don't know how I feel about it. I mean, okay, we've got a list. We've got 3 movies we're talking about.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Bleach, Full Metal, and Death Note.
Right.
So, let's start off with the worst one.
Oh, yeah, definitely the worst.
Bleach
is
go.
a nightmare.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously nobody knows, but, well, I guess you do, because I told you before. But I had watched, like, the original Bleach series, not all the way through, but a good portion, like, much further than the movie goes, and it's not the greatest, it's action anime, right? But its story is not a winner, so when I saw that there was a Bleach movie on Netflix, I was like, oh
no,
they're gonna have to do they're gonna have to do something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know, like maybe a redeeming quality would be the action, but this is no, don't watch this.
It's across the board for all of these. I don't understand the idea of making a live action movie.
Yeah.
For these, because all of these are pretty long. They have a significant amount of episodes. You're not going to fit the vast majority of it in hour 30, 2 hours?
Like, you look back at, like, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I mean, I didn't see that movie for obvious reasons. But, like, there is a lot to that show, and there's a lot going on. Sure, there are, like, filler episodes where you've got characters kind of doing their own thing and kind of develops them as people. But it's, like, even the story itself at its core, like, the main arc is just, you can't do that. Not unless you're planning on doing multiple movies. But in this case, Netflix just decided, you know what, we're gonna take advantage of, like, the popularity of these series and just crank something out.
There you go.
In Japan.
I think The Last Airbender is actually getting a TV show on Netflix.
Like a live action one?
I think so.
I
could be wrong, but
okay.
I'm pretty sure it is. So they're planning to make it like a full length, like it's gonna have actual seasons. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't even know if the original Avatar's on there. But
no, it's not.
What the okay?
The only place you can watch it right now, out of like the big ones like Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon. I think Amazon has it, but you have to pay for it.
Of course you do.
Yeah. I think for a little while, Legend of Korra was okay to watch. Like, it was open to Prime, but I don't think that's the case now. It's been a while since I've been on Amazon Prime. Anyway, Bleach was
the topic of what we were
nightmare.
Supposed to be talking about, yeah.
So, like, immediately that day, we were like, we're doing this. Next week, we're going to talk about these awful... We knew they were going to be bad before we even watched them, but I didn't think Bleach would be as bad as it was.
Yeah.
Like, firstly, like, they're clearly shot in Japan, so that's kind of good. So it's in the same setting, but it means that dialogue is also Japanese. And Netflix just decided they were going to get some voice actors and dub over the Japanese, so lip flaps don't match or anything.
Lip flaps?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're called in animation, so that's just what I'm going to call it here.
I hate that.
Yeah, right? Lip flaps.
Like Pac-Man. Maka.
But, like, I gave it a little bit, because I thought maybe Ichigo was voiced by the same guy. I forget his name, but he's done so many other like voices in anime. He's all over the place. I think he does a lot of video games too. Oh. But he sounds like kind of similar, but it wasn't the same guy. And as soon as I figured that out, and I think that was when Ichigo was like fighting these 3 bullies that like knocked over the vase with the flower for the dead kid, which is in the show too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, after that I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go to Japanese and do subtitles, and that made things a lot nicer. I think I probably saved myself a lot of really cringeworthy dialogue.
It made it more bearable.
Yeah.
The thing that doesn't make sense though is that if you have it like in the original Japanese what's the word, audio, I guess.
Yeah.
And the it's translated, but even the dubbed version doesn't match that, and it like completely changes the meanings of something.
Wait,
sometimes.
so the subtitles in English were different than
Yeah.
what was that? That's weird.
Yeah.
So maybe they were using the subtitles for the Japanese.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Because some things just don't translate over. Yeah. But yeah, that was a nightmare. But you have done the diligence of taking some notes over all these. I just kind of watched them. The last one, Death Note, being something I watched a while ago, so I may not be as fresh on that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think when I first started watching it, I was like, okay, this is fine. It's not great, but it's fine. I think the pacing was okay until about halfway through. Mm-hmm. And then they just wouldn't stop dragging stuff on.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then by the end, I was like, I want Ichigo to just die. He's not even supposed to, but I want him to die because I want this movie to end.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes on way too long. Yep. Like, especially at the very end when they're having that like big battle in the little square in some sort of Inaba. But I was so tired of seeing effects of like Zabimaru stretching around and stuff and grabbing Ichigo and throwing him around, and like so many things are like blown up and destroyed. I'm like, I was honestly kind of impressed because like, I don't know, partway through in the movie they're talking about taking Rukia to the Soul Society, which is like a big part of the first arc of the show. You know, saving her, like going there and saving her. And as soon as they started talking about going to the Soul Society, there we go. There's plenty more where that came from.
Oh yes.
I was like, no, they don't have the budget for that. Soul Society's a big place.
Yep.
If you watch the anime, that's like huge. Maybe it wouldn't take a whole lot of effort, but something about it, I was like, no, they can't do that because it's such a like picturesque place. You know, I mean, it's heaven. So, but you know, at the end when they've got all this destruction and stuff going on, like there's the budget. That's where it went, exactly, and it's not even the like a good part of the movie at all. Nope. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that, really. But yeah, pacing kind of fell apart after somewhere in the second act, I think.
I think I was gonna have I love this thing that they do in movies, just in general, when it's like a superhero movie or whatever, and they have that whole training montage.
Yeah.
But it leads up to nothing. So like,
yeah, it's true. What did he train for? Fighting. Yeah, who was? I guess to fight Rukia's brother and I forget his other name. Man, it's been so long since I've watched Bleach.
Yeah. And I don't remember. I watched that before I watched Full Metal, so my brain's still on Full Metal.
Yeah, me too. I finished watching it last night, so.
So there's this scene where it's like right at the end of the training montage where he has like his sword, I guess, whatever it is, and he just swings it, and then all the bottles
break.
And I'm like, what does that do? What does that tell me about anything about his power?
Yeah, it's. I think what they were implying is that like he had the spiritual energy enough to like shatter these things without even like touching them, and that's a thing in the show that he's like just emanates power, like just unbridled, because he's not trained for it or anything. But yeah, they don't really. In the rest of the movie, they don't really show him like doing anything particularly advanced. He kind of just fumbles through a lot of the fight at the end. Yep. It's very weird.
Yep. Just it made no sense to me.
Yeah, there's like no payoff really, apart from seeing Ichigo do something cool near the end of the training montage. Yep.
And it was like 15 minutes long, so I was like, why? Why is this happening?
Yeah. And it's especially weird too that they're using like regular I think they're called whatever terminology, the little wooden swords that they use for like testing. It's like his sword isn't even like that size or anything.
It's not.
It's like this huge Zanpakuto has. It's like a big cleaver. It doesn't make any sense.
So another thing was the other characters and how they were in like maybe 5 minutes of the movie in total.
Yeah, they didn't do anything with Orihime at all.
Why would you do
like
this
she's kind of the love interest, sort of, at least one way. You know, where she was like really concerned about Ichigo and stuff, but they don't really go anywhere with that except for her going, I mean, I hope Ichigo's okay. And the other friend who's like, Ichigo died. He's gone. And then he's like, nope, I'm here. It's fine. I mean,
Hate him.
yeah. Like, you know what? First time it was funny, maybe. Like, haha. That's his thing. And then it's that the rest of the movie.
It's like, just, can you go die?
Is it sad that you're the best part of the movie to me?
Yes, that's very sad, actually.
All right. What else do you have on your notes?
I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, the characters coming together just took too long, and then there wasn't really any payoff to bring them into it.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like, it skipped over a lot of parts because the original series is much longer than what they could have done.
It's very laser focused on like Ichigo, and that's it.
Pretty much.
Nothing really else. So watch the anime instead.
Always watch the
Only
anime
the first
instead.
arc. Don't go anywhere beyond that. It's not good.
That's fair.
I've warned you. Once they say Verukia, you're done. Well, I guess that's a spoiler. Oh well, it's old.
Too late now.
Yeah.
You haven't watched it by now, you probably won't, so.
Yeah.
Oh well.
It's kind of cheesy. But I kind of love it in its cheesiness. It's got some good music.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, then we moved on to Full Metal.
Oh yeah.
Full Metal was a lot better than Bleach.
Out of the whole list, it's definitely my favorite. I was the most invested in it.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
Thank you.
As soon as it started up and you get like a lot of those wide shots out in the pasture and stuff and like just like different angles they use and stuff, it definitely looked more professional than Bleach because there were a lot of like 180-degree roll breaks. That's a technical term there.
Us film nerds.
yeah, we're both pretty much film students, so. But in Full Metal, I didn't really notice a whole lot of that.
Not compared to Bleach, no.
Yeah, the Bleach was like
Ridiculous.
yeah.
That was actually impressive.
It makes me feel good about my filmmaking,
Always.
even though I haven't really done a whole lot.
Yeah.
But those are kind of easy mistakes to make anyway. But Full Metal was, you could tell like some more work was put into it. I think it's definitely loved more by like the fans of anime than Bleach. Bleach kind of has a stigma to it that it's just kind of dumb and doesn't really have a plot so much. But,
Fair.
like, Full Metal's got like a nice arc. Whether you're looking at the original or Brotherhood, they're both written pretty decently.
I think we were talking about this earlier, but Full Metal was probably the one out of this list that I watched the least growing up. But I personally think that if you've never seen the original anime, you can follow along to the plot line fairly well.
See, and I disagree with you there.
There you go.
See, I was watching this with my girlfriend. We both have seen like both the series, and we're both pretty big fans of it. And I don't know, I felt like there are so many spots where you could have gotten like lost on what's happening. Maybe not. Okay, let me say this. Maybe the plot you could follow through on, but like the thing with like alchemy and how it works in the world, I feel like they didn't really dig too deep into that, into like the rules of how that sort of like magic works in that world. And I don't know, I feel like if you didn't understand like how the Philosopher's Stone is made, or like the fake ones, they're fake ones.
Yeah, that's one.
That's something they didn't say in the movie. But just like how they're made and like the ideas of equivalent exchange are just like lightly touched upon in the movie. And I feel like it kind of hurts it in a way, because then it's like, oh, what's this magic limited to? You know, I didn't really see a whole lot of like limitation in what people could do in the movie, apart from this one scene where like I think Al was just briefly talking about it at like the fountain or something in I forget what that city's called, the one with the priest or whatever.
I don't know.
It was like at the very beginning of the movie. But yeah, that was a big gripe for me.
Okay,
It was
fair.
just like the rules of the world didn't seem well laid out at first.
Yeah. But again, well, even with it being the longest out of the list, it's still not enough time to really explore everything that there is about it. So it makes sense that that's the one thing they were kind of like, they don't need to know about that. It's fine.
Yeah. And they made some changes to the plot. Like, I think it's Envy that goes and kills Hughes in like the phone booth, and he like changes into Mustang for some reason.
Oh yeah.
Instead of I forget who he changes to. At least he changes to the wife, which is in the show too. Yeah, it was the black-haired lady who was also in the military. I forget her name, but you only see her like every now and again. But yeah, I thought that kind of odd, and that there was no Fuhrer.
Yeah, that okay.
Like, where was Greed? Greed was just gone.
I noticed that too.
Yeah.
I figured at the well, I guess something we've talked about in film class is like don't write too many characters if they all kind of seem the same, like they're the same person.
Yeah.
And to me, they like Lust, Greed, not Greed, but they all kind of seem like the same person almost.
Yeah.
So it's like it kind of makes sense that they didn't put another person in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's like, and I totally get that too. I agree. But man, where was I going with this? I was just thinking about it.
They'll get back eventually.
Yeah, it'll come back.
There you go.
Oh, when we were watching it, I feel like me watching the other shows was kind of like a burden to me enjoying this one because I was expecting one thing, but got another. Like in Full Metal Alchemist, I'm like, okay, so they're gonna follow the plot of one of the two because Brotherhood and FMA are two very different things. Like once they get to Central, it splits, and you've got a plot about like the Fuhrer being the bad guy or something like that. Or no, the Fuhrer is the main bad guy in FMA. Sorry, it gets confusing.
Yeah, I bet.
And Brotherhood, there's the Fuhrer is a homunculus, but then there's Greed, who's like its own thing, which is like the little kid, I think, like the Fuhrer's son or something like that. Or
that sounds right.
Son.
There you go.
And I was trying to figure out like when are they going to get to this? Because there's like 16 minutes left of this movie, and there's no way they can go to this part.
Exactly.
So I'm like, is it following FMA? Is it following Brotherhood? And I was like, oh no, it's just kind of its own thing. So now there's like a third Full Metal Alchemist plot that exists.
I guess so.
That's worse than both.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. Like Netflix is grabbing up these IPs, but not really doing
much with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they put some effort in, but I don't know. I feel like they just kind of throw it out there to make money.
Yeah. I don't know why they don't make them into like a mini series.
Yeah, I don't either.
That'd be really cool.
And they could like keep it longer. You know, they could have people coming back and watching it for longer. And it'd probably draw people to their platform more. But I guess it doesn't really matter because most of the time when people have like a streaming service, they'll also have another one.
Yep, that's
so it's not like you're pulling one away from the other. I don't know. It's kind of odd.
I can't decide between this one and Bleach who has the more cringy CGI.
See, I think, yeah, now that I think about it, it might be a close tie. I feel like Full Metal was a little better. I think Al looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Al looked
really good. I was actually impressed.
That was like the one thing that was like really, really redeeming about it. Is I was like, you know what, that looks like Al from the show. That's why I expected him to look like in 3D. But yeah, apart from that, it is a little odd.
Yeah.
Like this kind of low budget Japanese movie.
Like the scene when they go to the the cannery or something like that. What is it? That empty building.
Are you talking about Full Metal?
Yeah.
What was it? The Lab 5 or something like that? Is that what you're talking about?
It was before they went to Lab 5. It was when they were fighting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They were standing in the middle of the room, and I was looking at it, and I was like, this is not a real room.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, and there was another scene, I think it was a little later on when Al was fighting stuff on his own. And I was like, oh, maybe it was near the beginning. But I was like, this looks like a video game right now. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the Full Metal Alchemist game on PS4 coming out this summer. But, no.
I hate that. It's accurate, but I also hated that.
Yeah, it's absolutely what it looked like. There was one scene that looked like a video game.
Yep.
I'm kind of impressed that it was only one. But yeah, I guess that's Full Metal Alchemist. Was there anything else? Oh, there was one thing that I noticed, and my girlfriend pointed out. Thankfully, she was paying more attention than I was. There's a scene where Ed is having like a nightmare kind of flashback sort of thing about when he like tried to get his mom back and stuff. And throughout that flashback or dream sequence, kind of both, he's like an adult in that scene. Sorry. But he should be like a kid at that time.
That's true.
Yeah. And that kind of threw me off. I was like, you know what? I don't know if this works or not, because it's like a dream, obviously. But it's also a flashback. So, like, Al's still a kid, which makes sense, because it's just how you'd remember it. But, yeah, I don't know how I felt about that, but it was definitely, like, a kind of a question that I had at the end of it.
Yeah, I think the way they described it was like a reenactment or something like that. Which, when I first heard it, I was like, is that supposed to be meta or something? Like, what is this? What's happening?
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I guess if it's like a reenactment, he's not like reliving the nightmare, technically speaking. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But to your point, he should have probably been a kid.
Yeah, I mean,
made more sense.
It would have cleared up any of that issue entirely. Like, it's fair to dream as like a kid, I guess. At least I think it's logical enough. I don't know if I've ever done that, but
I don't think I have either. Other thing I noticed, this one, dialogue-wise and cast-wise, I think was the best.
Yeah.
The cast worked together really well, and the dialogue flowed in a way that it seemed really natural, like a conversation you would actually have with a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, the Japanese sounded pretty good. I mean, I'm not fluent in Japanese. I'm studying it, though, but it sounded fine. I don't know about the English dialogue, because as soon as Bleach happened, I was like, yep, never going to that. For what I heard, it's okay. Serviceable, I guess. I don't think there were that many cringeworthy things, but if you're a fan of Full Metal Alchemist or Brotherhood, that it might throw you off. I think Al has kind of an odd voice. Like, he sounds like he's older, like too old, compared to the show where he sounds like his kid self, because, you know, it's his soul.
You think I said it too old?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. But that's the English voice. I think he sounded okay in Japanese.
Oh, yeah, the Japanese sounded fine. I agree with English, though, yeah.
It makes me wonder what he sounds like in Japanese in the anime. I wonder if it's similar. I know there are two different voice actors between the two series, Brotherhood and FMA, so I don't know. It's been a while since I've watched both back to back, but I didn't have any gripes with it.
Okay. That's fair. I think that was it.
Yeah. Death Note. Death Note is...
tragedy.
You know what? I might say Death Note is probably the worst one on this list. Like, Bleach, I think my expectations were just wrong. You know? Like, Bleach, I'm like, okay, this is going to be bad. But Death Note, it's like, it's not a really complicated story. And I was expecting it to still be in Japan and stuff, but it's just in America, and it's just a dude who's like a total, I don't know, like narcissist.
Yeah.
It's awful.
he's your typical emo, like, goth kid.
Oh, yeah, to the T.
Yeah. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
Just, I had a discussion with a couple of my friends. I think as a standalone movie, like, if you've never seen the original, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
There's still some things like continuity, especially with its own rules, that mess up the plot line.
Oh, yeah.
But by itself, it's not horrible.
Yeah, well, I think it just rides along the idea of, or just the main kind of ideas of the original show, or like the concept of a notebook that, like, you just write someone's name in it and they die. Like, that's a lot of power to, like, put in someone's hands, so you get in this dynamic of like what power does to people and that sort of thing, and like you get some sort of religious overtones and like kind of comparisons in like types of justice and all that. But in the movie, that isn't really addressed a whole lot. It's just kind of like this quick and done plot about this dude who should not have this book.
It's a quick strike of a movie.
Yeah, I mean, the anime is just like, it's like a game of cat and mouse the entire time. Like, you're on your toes and you don't know who's going to come out on top, but they're both pretty equal. L and I forget his name.
Oh, Light.
Light Yakami.
Yep.
Is he called that in the movie? I forget.
I think so.
I don't think his last name's the same, but I think he's called Light.
Yeah.
And that was weird.
Turner. That's what his last name is, which makes no sense, but you know.
Yeah, they just had to put it in like San Francisco or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
It's just weird. And L is like really impulsive, as opposed to the show where he's like really methodical and they just like sit back and watch. And like near the end of the movie, L is like out running through the street with a gun, right?
That
Isn't
whole
that in
chase
there?
scene, yeah, that whole
Yeah,
chase
it's
scene was like, what
this
is
isn't
happening?
L. Who is this?
There's one part where I don't know what the building it is that they're running through, but it cuts to Light running and then it cuts back to L running after him. He looks like a straight up demon.
Yeah.
And it freaked me out. I was like, who is this character? Who is this? What happened?
I don't know, like the juxtaposition between how Light is and how L is really like gets kind of close. Like the difference between them is kind of thin once you see them like chasing after each other like crazy.
Yep.
It's a real disservice to the anime because the anime is really good.
I think of everybody though, I think Light, his character got ruined the most. It's weird because it seems like they took the original character from the anime, split him in half, and then gave the sociopath / psychotic person to Mia, and then just left Light there. He's just there. Like, he might as well never be there. Mia's the most entertaining, like, she's the most interesting character of the entire thing.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you so crazy?
Yeah, and it's frustrating too because it's like Light's supposed to be this guy, right? And then Mia's like pretty much the puppet master for a good portion of the movie, and you're like, please get out of this movie. I want Light to be Light. But no, that movie's a disaster.
Yep.
I remember after watching that, I was like, anybody who has seen Death Note should watch this just to see like this really abstract, weird alternate reality they've created for this. And I don't know, it's just like so unnecessary.
Yep. I don't know how to say his name properly. Ryuk?
Yeah, Ryuk.
He was definitely the most interesting character.
Yeah.
He looked incredible.
Yeah,
I
he was
very
all right.
impressed.
He was my favorite character in the show. Or in the movie. In the show, he's all right. But yeah, he's definitely like star performer spotlight.
He's the most true to his original character.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. There were some, if I remember right, there were some big differences in how like the Death Note worked. That was frustrating too. And I think it created problems in the movie that were written out before they even like made this thing because they were, you know, like it was figured out in the anime. But
the biggest difference with that, I think, was how graphic it was. Because in the original, if I remember correctly, in the original, they just have heart attacks when their names are written.
Yeah. If there's no other cause of death, it's the heart attack. And
then the movie, it's like, you're going to die in so many different ways. It's like, why is that necessary?
Yeah.
That's one of the things I liked about the original, is that it wasn't graphic.
Yeah. Like, you know, you just have like a cutaway and like, oh, clearly this person has passed. Or like there would be like a newscast, like breaking news, somebody just died this way. Like, what's going on? Who's this? Who's Kira? But, you know, here it's just like, oh, somebody gets final destination.
Recording has been stopped automatically. Oh, God.
Cool. Yeah. See, this is what I was talking about before.
Well,
we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show.
We're good. Fine, we're back.
Yeah. Just had to...
Do I need to mark that again? That's going to be such a weird break.
No, because they should be synced anyway.
Okay.
What were we talking about before the camera decided to stop recording?
I guess we can just move on.
Oh, deaths.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was like really kind of graphic. Final Destination, people to death. It's like, is this what Hollywood wants? Is this what people actually want in their movie? Is like the graphic parts?
I guess.
I don't know. I feel like it doesn't add anything at all.
It didn't add anything at all. It took away from it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it made it less serious to me. You know, it's like this morbid fascination with how people die. It's like, that's not the point of this story.
Exactly. The book. Let's talk about the book, because there's a lot more rules in this one than there were in the original show, and it likes to break its own rules a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's been a while since I watched the movie, but I seem to remember there being some odd things with the book.
The biggest one is Watari's death. Makes no sense, because I had it written to where he could not die until he told Light what L's real name was, and then right before he told him, he died. And then
There wasn't another Death Note in that movie, right? There was just the one?
just the one.
Okay.
And then you get to the end where they're on the Ferris wheel, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And no human should really feasibly be able to survive that kind of fall.
Yeah, you'd have to be pretty lucky.
Mm-hmm. And he wrote it in the book that's like, she dies, but I still live. And it's like, that's not how this works. You're still a human. You can't defy the laws of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, unless something like just saves you at the end, and that's just how it works. Because I guess it kind of works in that way, but it's just some weirdness with the rules.
Yeah.
It really likes to break the rules. It's like, well, what's the point?
Why did you
What's
write
the point of the
extra
rules in the book?
Exactly. Why did you write extra rules if you were going to break them? Might as well just let them out. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
No.
These adaptations are just kind of fascinating to me. Like, how they try to change it to make it into something that fits, like, the 2-hour length at the most.
Mm-hmm.
Was it, like, something like 2 hours for Full Metal Alchemist? That was the longest.
I think it was like 2:15, something like that.
And I think Death Note was, like, blisteringly quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was probably the shortest one.
Yep.
And Bleach felt like it was 3 hours when it was really only, like, an hour 50-something.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, boy. And from what I hear, I think Netflix is doing something with Cowboy Bebop as well.
What?
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, fair.
Yeah. They have not shown good faith
No.
to the stories.
No.
I guess maybe that show might lend itself a little better to film because it's very kind of episodic and not a whole lot of the episodes necessarily linked together.
That's true.
Apart from the cast appearing, like different members appearing at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know if that's going to be a thing or not, like for real. But man, I hope if it comes out, it's at least like Full Metal Alchemist level. Because if it's like Bleach, I'm gonna
Jump off a cliff.
Yeah, I may have to drink bleach.
You irritate me. I appreciate the idea of them. I just don't think they're executed well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But to be fair, it's like, what can you really do with the whole series in an hour and a half, 2 hours?
I don't know. I mean, I guess, just take the fundamental ideas and then rewrite a story, which I guess kind of is what they do.
Yep.
But something about it just doesn't work out right. Like, they just can't hold whatever themes or, like, important points are there. I don't know.
They pinpoint on things that don't need to be as focused on.
Mm-hmm.
So then that one scene or that one thing drags out too much.
Yeah.
And then you get onto the other parts of the movie and it's like, well, we can't spend as much time on this because we spent too much time on that.
Yeah. Their focus is just, like, put in a completely different spot.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. I wonder if they actually have, like... Well, they've got to have, like, some fans of the series working on these films.
You would think, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they should get in touch with, like, the original creators or something on it.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the original creators aren't asked to work on it.
Maybe they are, but they just don't have time.
That's true.
Because I know, like, the scene of, like, anime and stuff, like, that creation is, like, really kind of grueling.
I could never.
Yeah, me either. It's like, from what I hear, like, soul-sucking work. It's just me today.
No, I get it through. It's fine.
Okay.
Well, you're 2-1 now, so
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
I'm in the lead.
You? Do you want to be in the lead?
No,
well,
I definitely don't.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. What will they do next?
I want them to stop. Unless it's going to be like a mini series and they can flesh out characters more, flesh out the plot line more. I'm not. The movies just don't work. They just don't.
Yeah. I don't know about, there was another one that I had mentioned and you were like, what? Just because the name's weird. It was like, Kakegurui.
Oh, yeah.
Was the other show.
Was it the
Gambling Addict,
Mm-hmm.
I think is what's translated to, or something like that. But I don't remember if the live action was a Netflix one or not. Because I know Kakegurui was, I think, bought by Netflix. But it was its own manga beforehand.
Oh, okay.
But they decided to put that anime on their platform and market as theirs. But that show is okay. And the live action is, like, very kind of theatrical. I'm starting to think that maybe Japanese films are just like that, or that particular type. They're just really like overacted in a way.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know, because I saw a bit of that in like everything. You know? Well, I guess except for Death Note, but that's because it was in America. It's got different kind of standards to it.
Well, I think Mia would beg to differ. Is
she really extra?
Oh, yes. It's actually impressive how high her level of psychotic goes. And it's like, you should be locked up. Something's wrong with you.
Do you think that's the character or the actor?
I hope it's just the character. Jesus.
Yeah. She got into it. She got into something.
She has been smoking crack, something, because she wanted everyone dead.
Oh, yeah. See, is there anything else that we need to go over here?
I don't think so. I think we talked about everything we wrote down.
Okay.
So.
Now what?
I don't know. We didn't play an outro for this.
Welcome to the show.
Actually, that's, yes.
A show about nothing.
There, yeah.
Or anything, really.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. See you guys next time where we'll talk about something else.
Hopefully interesting, but it's a show about nothing, so probably not.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.